Today's lesson, section 4.4a, we'll be talking about laws of logarithms. So there are three laws of logarithms that we're going to talk about and use in this section to help us evaluate, expand, and condense our logarithms to make simpler expressions. For today, we're just going to talk about the properties by introducing them, and then also use them to help us evaluate. Okay, so let A be a positive number with it not being equal to 1, because that's going to be our base. And then let capital A, capital B, and C be any real numbers with A being greater than 0 and B being greater than 0. So C can be whatever it wants to be. So here I have three laws. Log of A times B, base A, is going to be equal to log of A base A plus log of B base A. So what's happening here is that because of multiplication, you can switch it to addition. Okay? This one, now they don't really have names per se. I don't know if the book gives them these, but I've always called these by certain names. So I'm just going to use this terminology, so I'm going to introduce this to you so you know what I'm talking about when I say it. So I call this the product property of logarithms. Because there's a product here. So a product of two numbers can be separated into two separate logarithms by addition. Okay, and these kind of follow, these logarithm properties follow your exponential or exponent properties that you also have. So like if I add, like if I take A to the B power times A to the C power, I can add the exponents together and make it into one base. It's the same kind of concept. So here, the next one, you have division. So log of A divided by B to the A power makes it log of A base A minus log of B base A. So division goes with subtraction. This one I call the quotient property. Okay? Quotient meaning there's two things divided by each other, and these don't have to be super apparent. Like if you have log of 4 base 2, well, 4 is actually the same thing as like 8 divided by 2. So you could rewrite numbers that are simplified versions of the division or multiplication. Or you could say, if you have 4, then you could take it and change it to 2 times 2 if you wanted to. So these are not just restricted to if they have division already set up for you, but it's just saying that if you have division, you can separate them. So you can also create that division. And then the last one is log of A to the C power base A is equal to C times log of A base A. So you have a power of an exponent, and then that makes it multiplication out front. So not between two things, but just out front of the log that you already had. This one I call the power property, since we have a power. Okay? So product, quotient, and power property. So if I want to evaluate each expression, I want to use my properties as I see them. So now you can go in either direction. So if you see addition, you can simplify it and make it into multiplication. If you see division, you can separate them into two things that are subtracted. So you can go either way if you need to simplify. So here I have log of 2 base 4 plus log of 32 base 4. So I see the addition here, so that means that probably I could use power property or product property. Okay. Now one thing I need you to make sure that you look at is to look at the bases first before you put things together. Okay? Because if your bases do not match, so notice that this is A and this one's A, okay, and all of them. Okay? If they do not match, you cannot use these properties in the same way. So it's kind of like, are they like terms question if you were talking about polynomials. So since my bases are the same thing or equal to one another, then I can use my product property. So log of 2 plus log of 32. Now I combine this by saying log of 2 times 32 base 4. So notice that there's not two logs and there's not two bases. So I'm combining them into a single logarithm. So they kind of morph in. So it's kind of the same concept as, like, if I have 3x squared plus 4x squared, okay? I don't say 7x to the fourth, I say 7x squared, right? Because it's like a label. So you're just tacking on that label at the end. So I have 3 of these x squareds, and then I have also another 4x squareds. So I have 3 plus 4 gives me 7, so I have 7x squareds. So the same thing here. I have 2 of these log of base 4s, and I have 32 of these log base 4s, and I want to add them together. So then it becomes, now I have 2 times 32 of these log of base 4s. It's the only difference is that you're not adding when you put them together like our polynomials. Here you're using your property, so addition creates multiplication. Okay? So now simplifying that multiplication, log of 64 base 4. And here, if I use some of my properties, other properties that I've used before, so let's say log of 64, we can also rewrite that as 4 to the third power, base 4. Okay? I can rewrite my numbers as I see fit to match. And one of our properties that we had before in an earlier section, I think 4.3, if you have a log, or actually 4.2, if you have a log of a number to a certain power, and the base is the same as that previous one, so these numbers match, then the exponent is my power, or my answer. So 3 would be my answer. It's almost like the log of base 4 and the 4 cancel each other out, almost. Okay? Leaves you with 3. Or you could change it to exponential form, and then you'll get 4 to the x equals 4 to the third, and so x will equal 3. It'll be the same concept. Okay? Let's move on to the next one. So here I see division. My bases are equal, so now I can use my quotient property. So quotient property says log of 80 divided by 5 base 2. Now notice I didn't do log of 80 base 2 divided by log of 5 base 2. I did log of 80 divided by 5. So 80 and 5 are division. This is the most common mistake I see, is when they write division properties. Okay? And so now I want to simplify that division. So 80 divided by 15 is going to be 16. And so then from there I can rewrite 16. And so 2 to what power gives me 16? Well, that would be 4. And so just like I used over here, that power is going to be the number that I get. Oops. Okay? So the log of 2 and 2 cancel each other out, or you can rewrite them to say 2 to the x equals 2 to the fourth. Same thing, x is going to equal 4. Okay? And another property here, if I have 1/2 log of 25 base 5, now here this is one of your power properties, because I have a number out front, and so I can put it back up top. So here, 25 to the 1/2 power is the same thing as the square root. So if I do log of the square root of 25 base 5, that's the same thing as a log of 5 base 5. And then Notice that your power is 1. Or another property says that if they're just equal to each other, there's no exponent, then it's always equal to 1. And so then that would be my answer. Okay? So these are some possibilities that you'll see in your assignment. Just remember that you're trying to recognize where there's addition, subtraction, and a number out front of a log so that you can use your product, quotient, and power properties effectively. Okay? And just make sure that your bases are the same for all your expressions. Okay? Have fun.